2007. It is now 5:30 p.m., and as we do all meetings, we'll start with an invocation by Paul Wooderson, the youth pastor at First Baptist Church, followed by the two pledges of allegiance. I would like to ask the entire SWAT team, the ones that are here, to lead us in both pledges of the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. Okay? Paul?
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for a beautiful day that you've given us to enjoy, and thank you for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon us. At this time, we just come before you asking for your wisdom and your direction, Lord, as decisions are made that will affect our county, our city. And we just thank you that you are a gracious God who will lead us and guide us if we will seek your face. We thank you for these who are in leadership. Lord, grant them wisdom. And we praise you and thank you for all of your blessings and goodness to us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If we could remain standing for a moment of silence for Roy Quintanilla, who passed away on Monday, a County Precinct 4 employee. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Public comment? Sheriff Lucio, update on the deputy?
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you very much. Judge, just an update on deputy and the SWAT team member, Angel Cruz. He had another reconstructive surgery today. Everything went well. The next surgery that he may have is going to be anywhere between 4 to 6 months. The latest is that he's doing well and will probably be out of the hospital probably in another week. So this is good news to us and to the rest of the county, and we were helpful and thankful to God for his recovery and that everything is going to turn out to be all right. On another note, if I may, Judge and Commissioners, in behalf of the SWAT team, myself, and all the members, did I say Angel Perez or did I say somebody? Cruz, I'm sorry. It's Angel Perez, the deputy that was injured. He's doing fine. Nevertheless, I wanted to express my gratitude in behalf of the SWAT team, myself, and the rest of the Sheriff's Office and the entire Cameron County community for your assistance and support in helping us acquire that armor truck that is greatly needed for this area around here. Again, thank you very much. With us here, Judge and Commissioners, is his sister, Angel Perez's sister. Would you please stand up, please?
I think she signed up for public comment also.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you for the update.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon, guys. My name is Susan Rodriguez. My brother is Angel Perez, and I'm here for him, and I'm here for the guys. On his behalf, I would like to talk about the needs that could have prevented my brother's injury, and it could prevent any other injuries to these guys in the future, civilians and themselves. I have been at the hospital for 12 days now, waiting for my brother to walk from there. He had a surgery, his last surgery this morning. Everything went well, thank God. But I'm here not to talk about his condition. To me, the most important thing right now is to ask for help for that vehicle, that armor car that they need. This incident where he was injured, it might have not prevented his injuries, but in the future, there might be another outcome, another case similar to this, which it did happen a week later, and thank God nobody was injured. I wrote these notes sitting at the hospital, and I can't even read them. So everything's coming from my heart. My brother works very hard at what he does. He loves people. He loves his job. He loves his brothers. And he's in danger every day, just like these guys. This city is getting bigger, is getting more dangerous. And in reference to that car, that truck that they need, I understand that there's a vehicle they can borrow, but there's always a time limit. There's a time and a waiting period for them to get that car, to get that truck on time for their needs and protect themselves, protect the civilians, and save themselves from any fire that might hurt them. This type of weapon that hit my brother was amazing that it didn't damage a lot more than it could have. Thank God for that. But again, his life and their lives are always put in jeopardy, and I would hate for something else to happen only because they don't have the proper vehicle to use, the proper equipment. And I'm just here to support them, to support my brother, and I know that he's anxious to come back to work, to save the people, to be there for everyone. And if I can do anything for him, that's why I'm here to speak for him. I'm his voice right now. He's suffering, and we know that he's going to be out here again fighting for what these guys need. And, these notes, I don't have a head right now to think about what to write. I'm just waiting. Every minute is an hour. It's been hard to wait all these days for him. It's been great to meet all the people that know how hard he works, what a great guy he is. I got to know what a great person he is, other than I already know what kind of person he is. But I really, really want to support these guys on what they need, on their equipment, on the right equipment before anything major happens in the city. I would really like for you guys, if possible. So, these notes are not good for me. I thank you guys for your support. I thank them for being there for my brother, for our family, and I really hope that this doesn't happen again, but if it ever did, that they had the right equipment that they can use to protect themselves and the civilians. And I think I need to get back to my brother. He needs me right now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Susan. Godspeed to him, and wish for a quick recovery. Unfortunately, when I was on the DPS commission, there were 4 troopers that were killed while I was on the commission in a 2-year period. So I've been to those funerals, and I know how bad it is and how tragic they are, watching the families. So just, God was with him, and so this item we're going to try to take up first, but unfortunately we cannot, because Commissioner Gatso wanted to be here to discuss this item. He's probably about 12 to 14 minutes away, or a little bit less. So we'll go on with the regular agenda, and as soon as he gets here, we'll leave that agenda and then come back to this one so y'all can go about your business, okay? Okay, consent items. Are there any items, any member of the consent and travel, are there any items in the consent or travel that any member of the court wish to take out of order and discuss separately?
Judge, item number 13 needs to be tabled.
I'd like to pull item 12. and I had some questions in general about several of the travel items that I just covered in general comment.
Okay, well, let me do this. Let me go ahead, well, do you want to go ahead and pass them and make comments? Or do you want to just take each one at a time and discuss it separately?
I'd like to do 12 separately, obviously, but in travel, I just I guess need to find out, we've got several district court staff members traveling to the same function, and in looking over their travel budget, some of them apparently, and I say apparently, are not members of the association, so their registration fee is $590, but most of them are members of the association, and their registration fee is $490, and I'm wondering if maybe that isn't correct the way I'm seeing it. Perhaps there was a typo or a miscalculation, or they picked up the wrong number for registration. There are 3 that show non-member registration fee amounts. It doesn't say they're non-members, but they show those amounts for registration. And the other the other 6 are all at $490 for registration. I guess I'm just questioning, if 3 are not members, it's $590, but if they really are members, it should be $490. Is anyone here from the district courts, or?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we, there's plenty of time. These things are in August. Why don't we table the travel having to do with the district courts? We can approve all the other travel if there's no issue. So why don't we table items 18A through G, and then just bring that back and have somebody from those courts draft a little memorandum to Commissioner Wood and the rest of the court for the next meeting, okay?
And also J, that is a county court, but again, we're looking at the same thing.
Let's do J, the same thing.
They're showing
Okay.
a non-membership registration fee.
All right.
And if that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
Okay. So let me hear a motion on consent items 2 through 17, with the exception of 12 that we will discuss separately, having to do with RFPs for health plan administrator, and item 13, which we're going to table, having to do with the Juvenile Justice Department to use the Goolsby building. On all the travel, 18, approve all items in travel with the exception of 18A through G and item J. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Well, let's go ahead and go to those before Commissioner Garza gets back. Item 12, consideration authorization to request for RFPs for health plan administrator, stop loss and aggregate, employee assistant program, access to preferred medical provider organizations, and prescription drug network for fiscal year 2007-2008.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ken Wethy. I'm the independent insurance consultant engaged by Cameron County for this project, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions, work through this draft RFP that you have in front of you. Today, I spent some time working with purchasing. I had a previous meeting at the beginning of my engagement, the end of April, where we went through certain parameters of how we wanted to structure the RFP, and today we did some more fine-tuning on it. The dates will be to release the RFP on June 18th, for the proposals to come back on July 16th, and then there will be the evaluation and negotiations for the proposals, with a recommendation to come to the Commissioner's Court on August 6th, 2007.
Well, I guess you've answered one of my questions, and one of them was the date timeline, because
Yes.
it shows here that the proposals were due back June 29th, and I was thinking that's...
Yeah, and that was my initial draft. We wanted to get something in front of you so you could look at the structure of how we're putting together this RFP process.
The other issue I had, and I think there's 7 different areas in this draft where it refers to the county desires a direct contract with the insurance company or service provider. Thus, proposals should not contain commission or other compensation for insurance agents who are not employees of the insurance company or service providers.
Yes.
We've got that throughout the proposal in
Yes.
different sections and areas
Yes.
of it. Can you tell me what the theory is on that?
All right.
And then I'll tell you what my experience has been.
This was discussed in my initial meeting in April. There are two ways one can go at it through this RFP process. One would be to obtain the contracts directly from the providers and not go through an agent who's acting in behalf of the insurance company. The other way is to use the agents, but there will be an add-on fee, and there's another layer that you have to work through that sometimes can work into a complexity for the actual contract that's going to be issued. It can go either way, but there will be additional cost if you add the layer of an agent.
Okay. I guess then, are we to expect that we'll have a good response to this directly from companies and service providers because historically, the experience I've had with agents
Yes.
doing something like this,
Yes.
oftentimes an agent would bring 3 or 4, or sometimes more, usually 3 or 4, at least 2, to the process, and I'm concerned about whether or not we're going to get the right type of response if we're dealing directly with companies. I don't know how many companies, would want to deal directly with us without going through their local agent. And then the other issue that I have on that is, if we have issues and problems, are we going to be dealing with a company rep off somewhere in Timbuktu, or is there going to be someone we can look eyeball to eyeball that walks the streets with us here to see, if problems can be cleared up and issues can be addressed appropriately?
That's a good point that you bring out. The companies will have representatives, the insurance companies, the administrators will have representatives that can be your service contact. An agent can perform that as well, but that's an additional cost that can go on, another layer of cost. As far as the market, I've been doing the work I'm doing for you in this area for over 20 years. I feel I know who the players will be. It's an open RFP. There will be notifications sent to those companies I'm aware of saying it'll be available on the website, but it is an open RFP process. It's your choice to make. If you decided you did want to use an agent, my recommendation would be that there be just one agent for one company and not have the company allow multiple agents to represent them. That increases the complexity of the evaluation process, and in my mind, it diminishes from the role of an agent, which if you want him to be out there selecting for you, bringing you the best there is, you want that agent to have some strong relation with those companies he'd be representing. So the recommendation would be to go direct and have a lesser cost and direct contracts with providers that could serve you better, perhaps. Or if you were to use an agent, then go one agent for one company. One company using only one agent and not multiple agents.
The experience that I've had, and I realize you say you've been in the business for 20 years, I guess I'm quite a bit older than you. I was an insurance agent for a few years back 27, 28, 26 years ago. And I found that oftentimes the local agent, as I was at that time, was sometimes better equipped to understand what the problem might be locally and to convey that. And certainly if it was a company I did lots of business with, I had a little larger leverage, because not only would I have that account, but maybe several other accounts that I was putting through that company, and it gave me a little more leverage to help my customer out, which was a local entity, a local customer, local company that I was dealing with directly on a day-to-day basis. And then I also found that when insurance companies went direct to companies, local companies, to sell their insurance services and the policies and things, they pretty well quoted the same thing. They didn't save any money by having a local agent. Most insurance companies I found have that rate, everything built in already, and you're going to spend it one way or another with them. It's just a matter of whether or not you have someone locally to be able to deal with.
I certainly agree with you when we are dealing with insurance contracts that are filed and the rates are filed with the state, then the commissions are built in. When we're dealing with self-funded services, the provider of the services will have his rates and fees, and then there will be an add-on for the agent. In the case of your current contract, you have an add-on of $2.50 per employee per month. And that's about, I don't know, $50,000, something like that. You can also have add-ons at so much as a percentage of the commission. When we're dealing with stop-loss insurance, you can have add-on commissions of 10 to 15%. If we're talking, currently, your stop-loss insurance is running about $1 million. This is where the price is at today. And so if that is allowed to float with commissions in it, you could be talking about $150,000 a commission on that stop-loss insurance. So the question is, am I going to get added value for the agent on my stop-loss insurance? And generally speaking, as we're looking at how your contracts have been working over the last several years, the insurance company is doing it directly, reimbursing directly. There is no agent involvement on that. Now, the service as an add-on for an administration fee, that will make some sense. But to have commissions in your stop-loss insurance, I strongly recommend that you not have the commissions in the stop-loss insurance. Typically, if the client wants to use an agent, then we will say that it's to be an add-on for the administration, and the stop-loss insurance is to be quoted net without commission. Because on this stop-loss insurance, you're dealing with the third-party administrator that's going to send the claims to the stop-loss carrier, and he's going to be doing some go-between stuff. Now, he may have a fee for doing that, referred to as stop-loss handling fee, and that might work out to a per capita of $1, $1.50, $2 for him handling those claims going to the stop-loss carrier for reimbursement. So there isn't that service, but I don't have a strong opinion about, or I do have a strong opinion, that the services of the local agent on the stop-loss insurance is not added value. Where his service can come in will be in the enrollment process, claim issues that an individual may have, interpretation of a contract. These things the local agent could do, and I would recommend that that be on a per member per month basis, similar to what you have now.
We've engaged you to help us put this RFP together, and once we go through this process and make a selection of a company, if we don't have an agent, or if we do have an agent, whatever the case might be, once that's done and over with, what role will you continue to play a role with the county, or are you just going back to Dallas?
My engagement is to do the RFP process, and if you desire to retain me going forward, that is an option for you. And I do work for other counties on a retainer basis.
I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Gatsa?
My only question was in reference to that particular, which was number 9 on the general information package.
Sure.
And it seems that a layer is being cut out. My question to you, sir, you're Kenneth Weth, right?
Wethy? Yes, sir.
Wethy. Wethy?
Wethy. Yes.
Are you in the insurance business?
Yes,
Do
I'm
you
a
sell-
licensed life and health insurance
Do you
counselor.
sell insurance?
No, I do not.
You do not sell insurance?
I do not.
You just do consulting work?
100% consulting.
100% consulting, okay. With that being said, then you would not be associated with anyone bidding on this particular contract?
That is correct.
Okay. The process that has been in place since I've been here is an agent representing us.
Yes.
And I don't know what transpired before I got here, but I would very much be in favor of continuing to have a local tax-paying individual to this county that we could hold accountable for problems that would occur. I've dealt with some insurance companies. I've personally tried to do direct business with some, and they're great to give you a low price, but when you need somebody to talk to, you can't find anyone, and you go from punch 1 on the phone to punch 5 to punch 3 to leave a message at the end. And I would hate to have to put our 1,618 folks that rely on this insurance without having an option to call a resident of this county, hopefully, if that would be the successful individual that is tax-paying here, that we could hold accountable for any problems that we might have on whoever we would go with as an insurance policy. And that's just my thoughts.
That's pretty much what I said. You know, I like to have someone I can see eye to eye and complain to right there, as opposed to one week talking to someone in Timbuktu or next week talking to someone else because that person's doing something else that time. But besides paragraph 9 on page 2, there are 6 more references throughout this.
To the
on
same,
different pages, the same thing.
Right.
Same reference.
And you know, I didn't go past I mean, that in itself told me that that's the premises in which the policy is being set up, and I could not support an RFP that excluded every local agent from being able to give us a proposal. You know, many times, I mean, I use independent agents for some of my personal insurance, and they shop around and they find, products that most fit what you want in a reasonable manner, versus trying to get, one big company to put together what we want and then not being able to get a hold of.
Certainly, that RFP can be developed the way you want it to be, and I have some clients that want to go direct, and other clients say we'd like to use the local agent that you're referring to. I would again come back and request that you have the agent's compensation be on a per capita basis, per member per month, and not as a percentage of the premium.
And I believe that's what in the past we've had.
Yeah. And that's the way you have it today.
Right.
Okay. Then that allows us a way to evaluate the pricing for the agent services, and then we can throw in a module about service to be provided by the agent. So then we'll have 2 criteria. One would be we're going to select the company and the product, and then we're going to select the agent. Now, I would like to go one step further, is we've got a tight time frame. I've spent the month of May developing the data to go into the RFP, so we're ready to go that. We've got some quality information to go into the RFP. However, if we do not limit the insurance company to just using one agent, we're going to have a great number of proposals come in from multiple agents, and I don't know that there's value added on that.
Well, I think if I understood what you were saying earlier, if a company is going to propose, they need to propose only through one agent.
Yes, sir.
However, one agent may represent several different companies.
Yes, sir.
And that's,
Yeah.
makes sense to me,
Yeah.
because I don't necessarily want one agent representing, I'll use Mutual of Omaha since we have them now,
Yes.
and another agent, and 4 or 5 of them representing
Correct.
the same company.
Correct.
That company needs to determine which one they're going to use, and that's up to them and the agent to figure
Yes.
out how they're going to handle that.
And then that agent can work with his insurance company to get him to bring the best deal
Exactly.
in as a proposal.
I've done that, yes.
Okay. Good suggestions?
Okay, so what do y'all want to do?
What did we just discuss?
You want to change RFP to include, allow an agent
Use of
to
agent,
participate? One agent per company?
One agent per company.
one agent per company, not necessarily one company per agent.
That's correct. One agent per
One
company.
agent per company.
Right.
Let's
And
do
then
that.
include agent services on a per capita basis.
Yeah.
So much per member per month,
Which is what we've had in the past.
which is the way you have it today. And then, some questions regarding the agent services. How long have you been in business? How long have you represented this particular company? So we can get to the quality and his ability to act in behalf of that company.
And make sure that there's language, I know that we've talked about it before, make sure there's language in that RFP regarding any contact by any agent or insurance company with any member of this Commissioner's Court during the RFP process.
Yes. What you saw here...
I mean, contact in regard to discuss the
Right,
RFP. I mean, they can
right,
have lunch and
right.
breakfast, but
Right. We're going to go to your standard format to wrap around what you saw here, and we'll make sure in that standard format that there's to be no contact with commissioners.
okay, do you all want to bring this item back with the corrections, or do you want to approve it subject to the corrections? I would prefer that you bring it back
Yeah, I think so.
with the corrections.
Maybe next week?
Our meeting will be Monday next week and not Tuesday. Can you have it ready with the corrections by Monday?
Yes, we certainly can. So we will run it back by you with the corrections.
Correct.
And there are some other things that I've done some fine tuning on, so this will work out good.
Okay?
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I do have one more question on the stop-loss insurance that you proposed as the RFP assumptions that we go with. Are those deductible options something that we have now, or are these new?
No, but let me explain. You have had 100,000 individual deductible since at least 2003.
Right.
Your deductible has stayed the same, but your claim costs have been going up.
Just because of the
Exactly.
nature of the business.
Right. So you had a premium of, when you started out, like $250,000 per year, and now you're up to about $1 million of premium. And that million is just barely break even on the claims. So if we move it up to a 150 or to a 200, then we'll see the price come down, but we'll also see another item. Some companies may decline to quote because of some of our large ongoing claims at a 100,000 deductible, but they may be willing to quote at a 150 or a 200.
So you're gonna, the stop loss is with 3 different numbers?
Right.
That's your
Each
proposal?
company will give us a price and the conditions for the 100, the 150,
And the 200, okay.
Okay.
That's my only
Okay,
question.
good question. Thank you very much.
All right, do I hear a motion to table the item until Monday?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, item carries. As I told you earlier, now that Commissioner Gatsa is here, are you going to be here? Yeah. To discuss the item regarding the vehicle. Supplemental item, consideration authorization to purchase one SWAT counterattack truck utilizing the Texas National Guard Procurement Process 1122 and utilizing the Texas Law Enforcement 1122 program, Lenco Armored Vehicle. The sheriff and I visited yesterday, and again, let me emphasize that my concern has always been where the source of funds was going to come from. I didn't think that using the $200,000 from the inmate phone system as additional revenue was going to work. Yesterday, in discussions with the sheriff, he was kind enough to pony up $50,000 from his drug forfeiture fund. In speaking, the auditor was also involved in those conversations. We'll be able to purchase this and order this equipment with the $50,000 that the sheriff has committed from his drug forfeiture fund, along with financing the balance over the next 4 to 5 years, which will have basically no impact on our unreserved general fund balance. That's where we can do it. I think that's a good way to do it. It has a minimal impact, and entirely the reason for my reluctancy to use the $200,000 that was obtained through the inmate phone system is we have some other areas throughout the departments that are over budget. I'm not going to go into the details of them, but that are significantly over budget, and those are going to have a really significant impact on as we close out the year. That was my apprehension with doing it quite that way, but we found a way to do it. I think the sheriff is in agreement doing it that way. We've gotten the blessings, I think, of the county auditor to do it that way. So I think it's a doable deal. According to the invoice, it takes 210 days for the vehicle to get constructed, according to what I saw. And so that's looking, if we order it tomorrow or as soon as we get the paperwork done, it should be in sometime in maybe October or November. And so in the interim, just be safe, be careful, and just be aware of what's going on out there. You have, I think, every member of this court support. I don't think that was ever the issue. The issue was not whether the need was there. Strictly my issue was how we were going to finance it or pay for it without significantly encroaching upon our budget, because we are going to have a very, very, very tough budget. So having said that, I would like to make that motion to approve the acquisition of that vehicle along the lines of discussion that I just mentioned. I'd like to get a second, and then we can further discuss it if we'd like to. Second by Commissioner Wood. Discussion.
The only discussion, is that 210 calendar days or working days?
I think it's calendar days.
Was it calendar days, Sheriff?
It's calendar days.
My understanding, Commissioner, is calendar days.
Calendar days? So that would be about 7 months.
It's 7 months, yes, sir.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Thank you, guys. Oh, one more question. Hold on. Before I start the applause, settle down. The point that I'd like to ask you, Sheriff, when you get through. The point I'd like...
My apologies to you.
Okay, it's all right. The point is, and I think Commissioner Wood touched on it a little bit in his commentary, we know that we have a unit in southern Cameron County, and you and I, so I'm not surprising, I'm asking you if we could find a facility that is comparable to take care of this unit, would you be willing to house it maybe in the San Benito Annex building to give the northern part of the county that easy access? And I think you indicated you wouldn't have no problem with that. Also, for the budget officer where he's at, make sure that when you start developing the budget that you get with the sheriff's office, determine, you know, if we have to set up a separate maintenance budget for this particular unit. 1, 2, and that's it. That's all I have.
We had no problem setting up in San Benito.
Okay, but check with Pete and make sure that we have a facility where you can store it. If we need to build something, we can work around that, but just let us know whatever you need to safeguard this piece of equipment.
Again, in behalf of all the SWAT team, myself, and the people of Cameron County, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay well.
Sheriff,
Oh.
I'd like to say something. I want to thank the SWAT team for their excellent work that they've done. I know in the past 1 month, you all have come into play in dangerous situations, and I think the people of Cameron County deserve that, and you deserve also to be protected. Thank you so much.
And I know that Officer Pettis' sister referred to you as his brothers, and I'm sure you see yourself that way. And I'd just like to reiterate that y'all are a family. We are all a family in the county, and I know that y'all will continue to support him just as we will, and wish the best for his recovery. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. There was no, I think that's already gone past. The other part of the supplemental is also consent items. In there is just so you all know, there's a resolution supporting a veterans hospital in the Rio Grande Valley. If there's no questions regarding those three supplemental items, do I hear a motion to approve? Oh, yes. Thank you, guys.
On item number 2, the contract we got from Union Pacific is a very extensive one. I went ahead and put it on the agenda.
Very what?
It's a very extensive contract. I went ahead and put it on the agenda and because this is going to allow us to lay the pipe underneath the railroad tracks in the Olmito area to the Colonia project that we're doing and hopefully solve a drainage situation we have there. Speaking to legal, they're not prepared to recommend approval of the agreement. We can either table it or we can approve it subject to approval from the legal department.
And legal has just not had an opportunity to look at it, or?
Right.
Whatever the court's desire
This
is.
is the agreement between UP and us and okay. I would like to go ahead and approve it because I know we're in a timeline, and if we have floods, the sooner we get it, the better off we are.
All right.
Subject to legal finalizing.
Do I hear a motion to approve the consent items?
I would like to just add, subject to legal, but please present us with whatever changes are being made.
We'll present a copy of the contract to the
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
By Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item carries.
Was that all the items?
That appears to be all the items that were on there. Okay, executive session. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa, to go into executive session. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning management and purchase issues with the International Bridge System on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Item B, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Roel Gonzalez and Sonia Gonzalez versus Cameron County, Texas, and Jesus Villanueva individually and in his official capacity, civil action number 05-278, for discussion and settlement and authority to represent Jesus Villanueva in his individual capacity pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and B. Lastly, item C, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 10 for right-of-way for the West Rail project pursuant to Code Section 551.072. Gatsa, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 19A, the bridge system. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of Pizza Pulvera?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item carries. Item B, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Roel Gonzalez. Do I hear a motion to acknowledge report of counsel and instruct him to go along the lines and conditions that we talked about in executive session?
So moved.
Do we need to include authorizing him to hire outside counsel?
I think he was going to bring that back.
Are you gonna bring that back?
Yeah. Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item C, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 10. Do I hear a motion to, what do you want your motion to be? Do we say the amount?
Yes.
Okay, I hear a motion to approve the payment of $30,000 on parcel 10 for the West Rail project.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Budget amendments, line item transfers and/or salary schedules.
I have some questions. I think maybe they're typos, but, Javier, if you can explain them to me. I think maybe some of these are typos or
Okay.
misplaced or whatever.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Okay.
He's ready.
On the first page, under county judge's budget, 100-4010, then 6003 salaries.
Correct.
We start out with $133,854. We deduct $8,417 and end up with $125,437. On emergency management, that same accounts, 100-4010, 6003 salaries. We start out with the same $133,854. We deduct 8246 to end up with
Okay, yeah.
25608. Do we have some numbers, or are we pulling 16,000 out of one account and only reducing it by 8?
Actually, you're correct. It should be
Help me
on...
understand this, that's all I need.
Yeah, on the 4010 under emergency management, the beginning should be the 125,437,
Okay.
and also reducing it by that same total amount.
That's
And-
kind of what I was thinking, it might
Yeah,
be a
and-
typo or something.
And what that is,
I understand what it is. I
Okay,
just want to be sure I've
apologies.
got the numbers right.
okay.
And then on the JP administration, fee revenues, should the 64,184 be in the from column instead of in the to column?
No,
Well, how are we going to,
because it's a revenue line item, so it's showing as a credit instead of a debit. So it's zero, in order for it to zero out, it actually keys in that way, but it's from zero because there is no budgeted revenue right now,
Okay.
and you're recognizing that
from
revenue.
zero
To
to
64,000.
64,000, yet we've got a credit for 64,000?
Correct.
So we've still got 64,000 in it, yet we've credited 64, or we've charged 64,000 to it.
Well, what it is setting up the budget for these line items, these expenditure line items, which the court had already taken action on the previous, and then you also have to recognize the revenue to offset the budgeted expenditures, so it'll zero out.
I didn't understand that one either,
I
John.
didn't either. We got to start with something to...
No, 'cause it's
to
zero.
allocate, we're starting with zero.
Correct, 'cause
And
those
we're allocating
revenues weren't-
64,000 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different line items,
Correct.
and we still got that 64,000.
Well, you have to recognize both sides, because you have to recognize the revenue and you have to recognize the expenditures, and they're
Understand.
offsetting entries.
Yeah.
Because the revenue will go in as a negative amount, and the expenditures go on as a positive amount, so that it zeroes out at the bottom.
You're the accountant.
No, that's right. I mean, what it is that if you look at really the controlling number is the 6,000 series or expenditures of 4,000 series
Correct.
of revenues. So that's the way it's supposed to go in, but then it adjusts itself out on the ending column, but that's correct the way it is. Assuming what you're telling me is correct, then that's the right way to do it.
Yes.
Because if you showed it as a credit over here, on the fee revenue, it'd really be a debit.
What I'm saying, if we're just looking at it simply, the way I generally look at it, we ought to start with 64,000 so we can take...
No, but that 64,000 wasn't recognized.
That's right, that revenue was not recognized, so it's really going from zero when you adopted the budget to these new numbers. There was no 64,000.
I guess it just balances out to zero, is that?
Well, yeah, it does.
Correct.
Yeah, it's going to come out to zero.
Now, you'd be right, if this was a $6,000 number, let me add the account 4430, that was a 60/30 number, then it'd be
I'd need it over there.
122,000. Okay, so that's correct the way it's going, and that's the way the accounting system works. Yeah, if you look at Tony's on the very next one.
Well, that's what I want to ask about also.
Yeah, it should be the same, theoretically, it's the same thing.
Because we've got a lesser number in from
Right.
and a greater number.
Because it's increasing. But it shows as a negative number.
Revenues are credits, they're in brackets, and the expenses are debits without the brackets.
Right.
Don't tell me why, that's just accounting backwards stuff. I don't
It has to zero out at the
That's
end.
the way it is.
basically.
Revenues are credits. Same thing with the next one, so.
On the salary schedules, these are the salary schedules from last week, from the changes in the various maintenance departments. There was also an attachment at the very beginning showing where they're going. There are no changes to any salaries. They're just transfers of slots from where they're currently located to the actual facilities to where they are working.
So that way
And I
it
hope
can
the
be
color-
charged out to the right
Correct.
location.
Correct.
Move to approve. Second. You confused them again, Javier, I'll tell you what.
Well, I thought the color coordinating would show where
Part of the confusion there is, I think, last time we had this on for Marcelino's people, for maintenance people, the question was asked, and I think Commissioner Garza asked it, was someone getting change in their salary?
In their
And
rate.
the answer was yes.
Correct.
So
Well,
today,
in
we're
speaking, right, in speaking with Mr. Ibarra, he said just present it as the changes of where they're going, and then if he wants to do changes to salaries, he would come back and address that to the court later.
But I don't think that was, I think I asked, either Garza or I asked that question, was anybody getting a raise as a result of these shiftings? That was the question.
Right.
The answer was yes.
And no one is.
Correct.
And
No one is with
today.
this one.
Yeah.
So now the answer goes back, with this one, is anyone getting a raise
No.
with these shiftings?
The dollar amounts, are the same for those individuals that are being transferred, or the slots that are being transferred.
So there may be more money allocated to the slot, but they're not getting an increase, or are all the slots the same?
The slots are the same. The slot that they were in is going with them as to what they were getting paid.
All right, okay.
It's just being charged off
So
to
you
the
can
individual
the
account.
proper accounting to the proper facility.
Correct.
All right, that's what we were looking at last time.
Any further questions? I had a motion by Commissioner Garza. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 22A, April 24th, regular meeting approval of minutes. Anybody want to make a motion to approve them, or you want to table them for a week?
I'm ready.
Okay, do I hear a motion by Commissioner Wood? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 23, approval of claims. There are some extra ones that Mark passed out.
I have some additional information on claims. It's not in detail, but it's in summary form. It looks like this sheet, and it deals with the indigent health care claims. I wanted to give the court an update on where we are on indigent health care claims. And our budget approved is $3,938,844. Through the end of May, we have spent $3,352,430. That means that remaining to be spent is $586,413. We believe that in-house, or either in-house and bills to be paid, or incurred but not yet received, is an amount equal to that. We've spoken to, sent a letter out to providers saying, hey, if y'all can defer some of this to the beginning of the next budget year, please do so. The other thing is we've worked with South Texas Healthcare System, who acts as our gatekeeper, to step forward and handle some of our primary care needs and to keep the program there operational for the remainder of the summer, and then September 1 we start again with funding. There's a number of different issues with regards to the future of the indigent program. We met with Dr. Martinez today to listen to some of his concerns. We spoke on how we're going to, some of the thought process in moving forward with this program. And so wanted to also highlight the nature of the clients that are involved in our service. We had served 2,265 through the 1st of May, and of that, 39% are citizens. Residents are another 18%, undocumented are 41.9%, and we're still trying to determine the nature of 4 to figure out what classification. So we do have a large number of undocumented persons in this county that we provide service to, so that's part of the burden of this program. We are going to receive funding from the state in $1,111,000. The state called me from the indigent health care program to tell me that they're not going to reimburse us at 90%, but at 100%. And so the 10% local matching is not going to be required. We're still limited to 20% of the budget.
Mark, what's the difference between a resident and a citizen?
A resident may be a legal, well, I can't say legal. A resident has documents that say that they can be here. They are documented aliens versus undocumented aliens.
They probably have like permanent resident alien.
A legal resident.
Status, yeah.
They're a legal resident.
Oh, green card type.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know the specific reason they may be here, but they have permission to be here.
Okay.
We don't ask the others. those issues.
Mark, where are we on the UPL? I got your memo, and I thought was
Well,
pretty
there
good.
is a proposal by Valley Baptist to provide for the entire operation of our...
When are y'all gonna be ready to give us a little workshop on it?
I think this needs to be done within 2 weeks.
Okay. So you need to get with Yvette, and I guess y'all need to be on the same page, because I mean, I don't know.
Yvette and I have had a number of conversations. And Dr. Martinez had a number of interesting issues and proposals, and I'd like to include him in that discussion. The other thing that is coming up is we still have the Health Services District. We had a 2-year contract with them to provide the indigent health care program. That contract is ending. And if the Health Services District continues, then we need to look at that contract again. All right? Anything else?
Well, just, so you're talking maybe within the 2 weeks, y'all are gonna be ready to give us a presentation?
I think we can give you a recommendation in the presentation.
Okay, because we have to factor in the money that's going over to the South Texas Hospital. The way you worked it, I thought was...
I sent and I just drafted it on Excel, possibly how this could work.
Right. You might just want to fine tune it, but I think it's...
I need to know...
2 weeks from today, basically.
Yeah, the purpose of that was just to get a general feel of what policies y'all want us to craft it around.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve county claims?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Please note my abstention on the item that I gave you. Any other abstentions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item 24, discussion and possible action on temporary contract negotiations regarding the performance of autopsies.
No report.
Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Wood. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Before we get to the concession agreements, let's take a little break. And I think, Tommy, you wanted to say something regarding an item that we tabled? Go ahead. That is item 14.
Thank you, Judge, I appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being late. I was in a rush to get here. I got a call at the end of the day from the Sheriff's Department. A boat that had been stolen from my backyard had been spotted. They needed me to come over and identify so they could do their job. So I got tied up there, and then from there I rushed over here as quick as I could. So I do apologize for being here late. I didn't want to be here for that. I understand that there's, I guess, a question about whether we can proceed with the Goolsby building, and that's fine. I understand. I'm going to schedule to visit with Mr. Burst and Delbia hopefully tomorrow morning sometime. I do want to share just a couple of thoughts with you, although, about this matter. One is that currently at the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department at the facility, over the past 4 years, we have entered into partnerships with a number of agencies, both local and from out of town, who have brought services, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of services free to the children of this community. Some of those being Sandstone Healthcare Services, Presidio Drug and Alcohol Prevention Services for Youth, Gulf Coast Trade School, and all the things that they do coming out of New Waverly, the San Benito ISD School District, who provides many, many dollars worth of services for the kids in our efforts to rehabilitate them. We've added a lot of new dimensions of things that we do in partnerships with Boys Clubs of America out of Georgia, out of the local Boys and Girls Club facilities. Of course, you know we run the youth centers now at Olivetta Park, and now currently in our efforts to assist Commissioner Wood and what we're trying to do at Cameron Park in running a summer youth program through our early intervention prevention services. So we've been very busy. All those services of these people that come into our facilities to assist, we don't charge them rent. It's a partnership. They deliver resources to us that otherwise I would be coming to this Commissioner's Court asking for all these thousands and thousands of dollars. I just wanted to put that out there. The other thing is even us going into other facilities. We're at the Olivetta Park currently, where we do program services through our Weed and Seed grant. The city, that's a partnership with the city of Brownsville. We pay no rent there. It's a partnership because everybody benefits from this in the sense that we address needs of children in this community.
to keep them off the streets and hopefully out of trouble. Olivet at Cameron Park, same thing. Gulf Coast Trade School is simply another one of the resources that already currently exists in our facilities, providing services for youth. The Goolsbee building is simply a building that I would like to see transferred to the Cameron County Juvenile Justice Department in order for us to expand the services that we're trying to provide for youth in this community. I read an interesting article this weekend which simply substantiated what I told you guys last time I was here. It talks about 3,048 freshmen in 2003 in the Brownsville ISD, and how only 1,436 of those kids walk the stage, meaning that 53% of those kids are out there uneducated and unskilled. That number probably reflects the rest of the school districts in Cameron County. That is an issue with me. And so I'm trying to do whatever little I can to try to improve or create solution to that. The programs that we already have in place are trying to address that. The program that we're hoping to do at Goolsbee with Gulf Coast, with Drug and Alcohol Prevention Counseling, et cetera, all the Workforce Commission, who we already also in partnership with, all of those people, it's just simply our continued efforts to take some of that population, get them educated, get them some job skills, find them a job, and make them tax-paying citizens in this community, rather than they continue to be a financial burden in this community, as many of them currently are. And if we don't address this now and break this cycle of dysfunction, that number will just continue to grow and grow and grow. And you'll be creating budgets to resolve this through a means of providing funds for all these uneducated, unskilled people in this community. I just cannot sit by and just not do anything about that, and that's why we're out working hard trying to do our little part in our efforts to correct this. And I speak constantly with community agencies in the community and out of the community to try to bring partnerships into this community to make an impact on that number. I hope that you all would seriously consider what we're trying to do here, because I see the impact that it'll have in this community. I know the impact that it'll have in this community on these children that we work with. And I'd rather do this than to keep adding wings to the detention center and the boot camp and keep spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in placing kids outside of this community. I think that's my job to do for you all in this county. So I thank you for your time, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Item 20. I think there was one thing, I don't know if I heard you mention it or not, Mr. Ramirez, but on your partnerships, one partnership, and I didn't hear it, maybe you said it was faith-based partnerships that you also, he's got a number of those throughout the community that are also partnerships in which kids go to, but we don't remunerate them in any way, shape, or form either.
And, for example, he brought up the issue of the work he's currently getting started doing for the summer program in Cameron Park area. For several years, we've had Boys and Girls Club here, but for the various reasons, they're cut back extremely on their staffing and their ability to provide the program. So Tommy stepped up to the plate and his group to help develop these programs, and we've got some excellent programs running out there, in addition to having one of his officers out there to see to the needs of some of these kids that are in the neighborhood that are on probation, one of his probation officers. So it's working extremely well. To do that. And so we're out trying to get funds and resources to do these kinds of things. And we've been blessed. We've been more lucky than a lot of those people to be able to receive. Well, you've got a good track record, and that goes a long way.
So this item was tabled subject to legal, or what?
Subject to legal.
Legal what?
There's some issues concerning the occupation of the building by an organization that's not another political subdivision. And Richard Burst had some questions, and I spoke with Tommy, and I said, Tommy, let's meet tomorrow with Richard, and we can clear some of this stuff up. I've been looking into it, and I'm trying really hard to get what Tommy wants done. But Richard still has some questions on this.
Well, we had asked, like, the first time it came to us, to make sure that there were no procurement issues with this particular item. You know, and if there is a procurement issue with this, there's a procurement issue when the Boys Club comes into the building and uses that building without any agreement. I mean, are we gonna nitpick? Right, you know? Yeah.
And oftentimes, what we do are MOUs with these other entities, which services our needs and their needs extremely well.
Well, I don't know if we have any MOUs with a lot of them. Or contracts. I mean, do you know of any that we know? No?
He does.
And actually, I've drafted one here, the party that I'm hoping to bring to the movie building. And I have a team of people flying in tomorrow from UAC to hopefully to discuss some details in it. My concern is this, and in all honesty, is I came here about 3 years ago because I had secured some funds to outside funds from the community that were going to be provided to us to create a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center for young female offenders. And at that time, I was told here by community support that at the point that the movie building would be vacated, I would be able to use that facility to create this program. Well, unfortunately, it's a lot longer than anticipated for the movie building to be vacated. So we lost that opportunity, those funds that transferred to vacated. So now we pay $100 a day to kids over there to get treatment versus having it here getting free. And I'm just a little concerned about losing this opportunity because, you know, if they don't do it here, they'll go and get Dallas County to do it. And I don't want to get Dallas County to do it. And I would like the children, not that, of course, I care about the children in Dallas County. My primary goal is
serve ours.
Yeah, and they do have some programs in Hidalgo County, but they could just as easily expand those as opposed to coming into our area and working with us for Cameron County children. Yes.
Well, they can bring it back on Monday, after they've had the review. Just put it back.
Can we
Just
get
put
it
it back on the agenda for Monday. You'll have it ready by Monday, Sylvia? One way or the other? Okay, that's fine. We'll just leave the table, and it'll just come back on Monday.
Because we need to move on this.
Okay, we'll do that. All right? Okay, thank you, Tom. Item 25, discussion possible action concerning concession agreements with the beach service. Sylvia?
Judge and Commissioners, Mr. Brahmer came to me to, wanted to talk about maybe some possible different options on how to pay the monthly installment on some of his concessions. And so I put it on for the court for your consideration, and he is here to give you his presentation.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Judge, Commissioners, as Delvia said in conversation with her on the contract negotiations, we brought up the idea that since we're starting late in the season, if we could maybe negotiate the concession payments till we get into the season, you know, next summer. So what I presented, and I'm sorry for the lateness of the notes, but several different proposals which the court might consider. After some conversation with the park managers and Mr. Yates, they said, you know, some of the other concessions have in the past paid higher fees in the summer and less in the winter. And Mr. Yates likes the idea we just pay 10% of the gross, which I think the way the contract will ultimately read will be our concession fee or 10%, which is ever greater. If it was me, I would like to see Proposal 2.
Proposal 2 would be paying a premium?
Well, what it would be is we would pay a premium for the first, during the peak season, I think of June, July, and August. And then
also Proposal 4.
What's that?
Proposal 4 would also pay a $15,000 premium.
Where they're picking up the difference.
We're just picking up the difference in the first year.
The same.
It comes out at the end of the...
Oh, you're just deferring it then.
Right.
Deferring to 08 instead of 07.
I think it also might help some of the other concessionaires as well. If their winter payments were less, maybe they'd stay open longer, be able to give the services to the visitors of the park. You know, their overhead would be less, they'd be able to afford to keep the people there in place.
What did the RFP say in regards to the payment structure?
So you got a copy of our, you have, my wife has the,
Judge, Commissioners, there was nothing mentioned about the payment structure.
So how are we going to get paid? In terms of when, how, seasonal, unseasonal? I mean, how are we going to figure that out?
Well, it'd be part of the negotiations. We would.
How has it been done in the past?
We would be part of the negotiations.
How has it been done in the past?
Judge and Commissioners, usually in their proposals, they submit a monthly payment, a base rent, and a percentage that they might pay of their total revenue sales. And I think Mr. Brommer, I'm pretty sure that's, what he did in this one. But because of the way the court decided when this contract would begin, this is why he's coming to you to maybe suggest a different way to pay out those monthly installments, but instead of 12, but like in the last 4 months of the year, when during the peak season when they make most of their money. I believe that's one of the options. I'm not real familiar with the other ones. That's the only one we really talked about.
But in the contract, we do specify, if it's going to be prorated for the 12 months, we do it equally. Or in some cases, we'll do it like Mr. Brommer would like, is during the winter seasons, they'll pay less, and in the summer months, they'll pay a little bit more, because that's when they generate more money.
What are the current contracts doing?
Right now, this last one that we went out for, they're all equal. They
Equal,
pay, yes.
monthly equal.
But in the past, we have set it up that way where they pay less during the winter.
The equal would be proposal 5, right?
Right, proposal.
My only apprehension in waiting for a year or over a year to get an installment, and that's not to say anything against you, because I know, you're a good guy, okay? If someone decides to take a walk after being in business for a year, we haven't collected anything, they've been using our facilities for a year and a couple of months, and, make a little bit of money and then off they go. What protection do we have?
I was wondering along those lines also, Judge, if perhaps the contractor had a letter of credit from a bank that might give us a little bit of security in the event that something should happen. And it could be not necessarily someone walking away. It could be a disaster happen or get hit by a Mack truck.
And that is
things could happen.
And that is included in the contract.
Anything could happen.
I'm sorry?
That is included in our concession agreement.
What's included in the
That we do collect
concession
a security deposit.
Security deposit,
Right.
yes.
But how much is it, okay, tell me that it was not, that was negotiating as well. Okay, so what's the amount of the security deposit?
Deposit, we would,
Negotiate it.
we either ask the court or ask Mark what a appropriate figure would be.
And if we had a letter of credit, which wouldn't necessarily cost
Mark
a lot,
Mark
for the
Yates.
contractor, still provide us protection.
Proposal 3 addresses your very issue. That's why I put it in there. Because if I was in your seat, I'd be asking the same question. If that makes sense.
Well, maybe one day you will. Maybe one day you shall.
Maybe one day.
I don't have any problem with a proposal that begins accruing our fee when you take it over. I know it's unfair because it is a slow season, but this whole thing, someone been a little bit different, to be polite. But I think that using the time that you come in, I think that's when the amortization of this fee begins, and then you'll catch up at some point. I mean, I as one. Plus, I think Commissioner Wood's recommendation of a letter of credit, if you can get one, and then in what amount? Would it be a 6-month deal or 90-day deal or whatever? I guess that's something that you can negotiate also. I will tell you that I'm a little uncomfortable, not with you, okay, but negotiating all of these things after the concessions have been awarded, okay? And I hope that in the future that we kind of look at those numbers during the bid process, so we're not here trying to float around, trying to figure out what's fair for you and what's not fair for everybody else. Because now we're kind of, basically you're kind of locked in, everybody else is kind of locked in, because now we must, or we should, treat everybody the same as we're treating you, okay? So if we do you, I don't mean it quite that way, but if we say, well, go ahead and defer your payment till next year, then everyone has the right to come in and ask the same thing, and we would be obligated to do the same thing. So I think your proposal 3, unless there's any objection from any member of the court, I don't have a problem with that one. I think that allows you time to catch up. Yeah, proposal 3, and then you do your installment in one hit.
Which would mean that all the other
they have the right to do the same thing.
You know, I mean, what are we going to negotiate next week? I mean, we've had 3. We did an RFP. This is like the 4th item that we've changed. You know, I think that what we're losing, my concern is that we're losing the integrity of the RFP process. Because if an individual concessionaire had known that we were going to negotiate how they were going to pay their fees to the county, they might have bid a little differently than they did. If they might have known that it was going to be a 5-year contract instead of a 3-year or a 2-year contract, they might have decided that they wanted to do things a little differently. So just on those 2 items that we're negotiating, or we arbitrarily set the start date of the contract as a commissioner's court, which is a 3rd item, you know, we're already changing the whole integrity of the RFP process and how someone could have bid for this. I mean, if someone knew that we're not going to have to pay $5,000 a month, and they could pay $1,333 for the first 9 months of their contract, they might have decided to bid it differently. Is that fair to them?
Well, that was a comment, I think, that I brought up last week in terms of the way this whole thing, I mean,
Yeah, but
bottom
now
line,
we're doing another change.
and we may have to do it again, because, I mean, this is not the fault of the concessionaires. I mean, this is our fault, and we, you know.
I mean, when did this negotiating come up?
I don't know.
I think actually it was Mr. Bromer that approached Javier and Dilbia after we agreed to give them a 5-year contract, and based on the fact that we had decided to start the contract in September.
Yeah, but it's like renting a house, you know, you don't get, you know, I mean, you don't get a lower amount because you're not in the house that much of the time. You know, it's like a flat fee. I mean, you rent the place, you rent whatever you rent, you pay for what you're renting. You know? That's the way I see it. You know, I just, you know, I mean, you have it because you know that you're going to do what you're going to do during the peak part, and you move on. I just think we're losing the integrity of the RFP process. You know, this is kind of ridiculous.
We're kind of stuck with what we got. I mean, so now we just got to move forward. I mean, and I don't want to blame, you know, the concession. You know, they bid in. I mean, they responded to our RFP, and if our RFP was missing stuff and not clear, that's not their fault. That was our fault.
So I'm not blaming necessarily them.
No, I know.
If I were in their shoes,
but I don't want, you know, obviously we have to move forward with this. The only other option is to nix everything and start all over again. And I don't think that would be fair to the concessionaires that have done this in good faith. So next time, I think we just need to look at these RFPs before they go out, and not rely on, well, this is the way we've been doing it in the past. Things have changed, you know, and we have to do things just a lot different. So with that, whatever any court member wants to make a recommendation on his proposals, just keep in mind that whatever we decide to do here, we have to stand ready to do for every single concessionaire that comes before us. So whatever we decide to do here, let's just
I move that we go with proposal number 5, which is just like a standard amount, month in, month out, for the term of the contract.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to accept proposal number 5, which the dollars are the same. The only difference is October 1st starts with a $5,000 payment, and then he makes it up in the following year. Well, no, he really does.
5 is straight through.
Straight through?
Yeah, he doesn't make it up to the end.
You know, like making a house payment.
At a minimum.
Or a car payment.
All right. You gave that proposal, so that may be one of the ones we have to live with, okay? I have a motion by Commissioner Garza to accept proposal number 5, which begins a $5,000 and monthly payment beginning October 1st, 2007, and running through September 1st of 2012. The total lease amount by the time the concession agreement is over totals $300,000. That's in accordance with the RFP. So I have a motion by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item carries. Item 26, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, that's going to be straight across for all of them. We're not going to be sitting here next week doing another one, right?
Well, I think that's what you're going to have to do, Javier. I mean, this pretty much sets the benchmark, so we can't be having, 5 different concessionaires with 5 different payment agreements. I mean, this is the way it is. Okay, so use this one as a guide. All right, item 26. Discussion and possible action regarding Cameron County's fiscal year 2007 application for state assistance and cleaning and maintaining public beaches. Pete, there's somebody.
Judge, Commissioners, we received a letter in the mail from Texas General Land Office giving us notice that we were ineligible for our application that we submitted for FY 2007. We've spoke to the staff with the General Land Office and try to figure out what the solution and try to reverse the decision. They told us that there is a option or a alternative, which is to appeal the decision. We missed the deadline, which was February 9th. Our staff was supposed to send that application out after it was approved by the Commissioner's Court and wasn't done. So,
Okay, we didn't miss the deadline.
no,
It was your staff that missed the
Correct.
deadline. Or your office.
correct.
I just want to make sure who missed the deadline.
So, we've been talking to State Representative Rene Olivares' office and Senator Eddie Lucio's office, see if they could assist us in trying to change the decision. The General Land Office says it's an executive decision made by the Land Commissioner, so it's up to him to change or reverse the decision.
Did we get something, a letter after this saying that they had denied our appeal? Or is this the letter that I got through our email? I don't remember.
This is a letter that you received through the email.
Was there another one that I got today or yesterday saying that our appeal had been denied? I sent a letter to Commissioner Patterson, asking him for his consideration, so if he nixes it, then it's...
No, I haven't seen any others that you got since last week, but in speaking to the staff at the Senator's office, I think as of yesterday, they were still waiting to see what the Commissioner was going to do. And we spoke to him again today. We spoke to Chief of Staff for Representative Escobar, and they're working on this for us. As Javier said, it's going to be a decision by the Commissioner, so we'll wait and see. I guess based on that, then we'll need to see if we want to appeal the decision.
Well, there's nobody to appeal to, other than to Commissioner Patterson.
A hearing officer that he appoints.
No, I mean, if he says no, I mean, I think it's done.
Well, we still have that, based on that letter that we received, we still have that appeal process.
Yeah.
You know, we can request
So
an
let
appeal.
me ask you, did you request a hearing?
No.
We have not yet
No.
requested a hearing.
No, and that's one of the reasons why the item's on the agenda, to see if the court wants us to officially request that hearing, or do we want to wait? The letter that the judge sent went out the same day we received that letter. And so...
Do we have grounds with which we can work with to request a hearing and possibly not be wasting time and money going to Austin for a hearing? I mean, like, what happened between 11 and 12 on your chronological order of events?
We might have some arguments, and just to give the court a little bit of background, prior to April 30 of '06, we were doing two different applications, because Parks would do one and Public Works would do one. And then in April of '06, we received a letter from the GLO saying that they were going to consolidate both applications, and they were only going to receive one application, a combined application from the county that included Public Works reimbursement request and included the Parks reimbursement request. And then I believe there was some issues with the dune protection plan that needed to be amended, and they said until that occurred, you know, they were not going to act on a reimbursement. I believe there was a meeting sometime in July, and I was not part of that meeting, but I think there was a meeting in Austin to discuss that.
July of what year?
'06. We went ahead, Public Works, in last July, we went ahead and submitted an application, you know, just in case. But, you know, they sent back notice saying that, you know, they had already sent a letter to the county judge asking for one combined application. So, you know, we do have that. I know it's a weak argument, but on the Public Works side, we did submit an application, and what we were told, and again, in talking to the rep staff, the senator staff, even the staff at GLO, is that it's important that we continue to submit the quarterly report, the quarterly expenditure reports, because they'll use that as a base when they'll reimburse us. And so, after the third quarter of '06, that's when Public Works, you know, we stopped sending that information because it was going to be combined into one, and so Parks was going to take the lead on that. But I need to verify whether or not we have continued to submit those quarter reports, and we need to be up to date in '07. The other issue is that the application for '08 is due, I believe, in mid-July. So we need to ensure that in the next, 30 days or so, we submit that application, that combined application for Public Works and Parks. So I think we might have somewhat of an argument, and, I think, I would recommend to the court that we do request a hearing. But I think we need to wait until we get word, or a response to the judge's letter that was sent out, last week.
Let me ask you, what is it that we're doing, or what system do we have in place to prevent something like this from occurring again? In other words, we approve as a court, applications and grants and all that stuff, all the time. What is it that we're going to do to prevent this from sitting in somebody's drawer for, how this happened, I don't know, because it's not as if it was a brand new deal. We've been doing this for years. So what are we doing to prevent that from happening again? What system are we going to try to set up to make sure that these things get out?
I think those is just administrative, either policies or issues that we need to ensure that whatever gets approved by Commissioner's Court, the appropriate department or the appropriate department head follows through. And we'll need to sit down and establish a system of checks and balances to ensure that, if a contract or a change order, et cetera, gets approved at the level of Commissioner's Court, that we act on it immediately. Grants, reimbursements of this type, we need to ensure that we meet the deadline, because, we don't want to end up in a situation like we're in today. And we depend on this type of reimbursements for our budgets, you know, as it is, our budgets are limited, so, I'll need to sit down with department heads, and ensure that after a commissioners court meeting, they get notice of their agenda items, whether they were approved or not approved, and, you know, just, send a note, an email to them, you know, notifying them that they need to follow through, whether it's them themselves or their staff, you know. From the department head standpoint, once they get that notice from me, then they need to ensure that their staff, if their staff is gonna be responsible, that, you know, they need to make sure that gets done.
I'll make a motion that, based upon the results, response from the judge's letter from Mr. Patterson, and also response that we might get from Senator Lucio and or Representative Oliveda's efforts on our behalf. Escobar?
And also,
Oliveda's also working
Oliveda
on
is
it.
involved.
Okay.
Okay. That, if these are not in the positive for our good, that we go ahead and request a hearing, on this item.
But keep in mind, we got 30 days from May 31st.
Well, from the day we received it, I don't know what day we received it.
Judge Evans.
Let's see.
It's 30 days. Short timeline in there to do it, I realize, whatever.
Yeah, so let's make sure we do it before June 25th, just to make sure we get up there.
So I still would like to know what happened between 11 and 12.
What are you talking about, 11 and 12?
A chronology, order of events.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that in my packet.
I mean, it just sat on the desk, or what?
You see?
Somebody put that on up here,
What do you email to?
or emailed me, I think.
You don't have it?
Where I click it.
I think item 11, I then signed the application on January 25th, 2000, I guess that's you, 2007, gave all documents to staff to make minor changes to supporting documents that needed to go out with the application. Item 12, the application package did not leave my office until April 10, 2007. So I think the Commissioner's question, what happened in February and March?
I mean, did somebody get sick?
Judge and Commissioners, I would just caution you that in speaking about the events or what happened or what occurred, that we would just keep any names involved of staff.
Yeah, I didn't mention any names.
No. The only name I'm mentioning is Javier Mendez. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, because he's here.
I mean, he's right there, you know. I mean, it just got lost, or?
No, I was there. I mean, we asked our staff, what the reasoning was, and there was no
reason?
No reason.
It kind of just got at the bottom of the stack or something. How much money are we talking about here?
A little bit under $100,000.
100,000, right?
More or less.
How much was it, is that what we normally get, 100,000? Mark, do you recall?
That's a,
So that means Public Works is out some money too.
yeah, because it was one combined application now.
And that was for beach cleanup where? Boca Chica?
Right, for Public Works, yes.
Boca Chica Beach. Okay. Anything else?
I'll second John's motion.
Okay, it's moved by Commissioner Wood and a second by Commissioner Gatsa to wait for the results of the correspondence that was sent to our state reps, our state senator, and to the Commissioner of the General Land Office.
Judge,
And then if we get not good
I
responses,
believe the gentleman had it.
okay, hold on. If we don't get good responses, then we follow up with the appeal process, and hopefully we have that done, requesting a hearing. Hopefully we'll do that on or before January 25th.
June 25th.
June 25th. Yeah, I'm going backwards. All right, yes, sir.
We just lost
2008.
Would
be nice to go back.
2008 application.
This isn't Charlie Beach Service, this is Charlie Beach and Dune Task Force on the city. We go through the same process. It's the same strip of beach. Maybe we can, with the new county task force that we're trying to put together, that some of these application processes get joint. Because right now, the tractor stops at the end of Isla Blanca, another tractor starts and moves its way forth to Andy Bowie. So it's just something that maybe we can pull together, one big application that takes care of everything.
All right,
When
thank
we
you.
get an X, we might not have to clean beaches anymore, right?
That's right. That's
You know,
right.
we can turn over the beach cleaning
Except for Boca
to
Chica.
the town of South Padre. They might want to extend their city limits out there, John.
Could be.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 27, discussion and possible action regarding the upper payment limit option for indigent health care. Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner
Seconds.
Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Mark, 2 weeks, right? Okay. All right.
If not sooner.
Item 28, discussion and possible action regarding the county's federal legislative agenda.
The only item that I have here, I received a call yesterday from city manager in Brownsville, and apparently there had been a meeting between the city and the Texas Department of Transportation, and the city was told by TxDOT that their funding on Morrison Road might be in jeopardy, not necessarily lose the funding, but have their funding reduced quite a bit. Apparently there was some discussion at the Highway Commission meeting in May that will have an impact on local projects statewide. And the city manager was asking if the county could help assist the city with TxDOT. Morrison Road is
Are we on what item?
28, and I'll get to that, why I'm discussing it under this. Morrison Road is a 4-mile stretch of road, divided into 2 segments. First segment from Paredes Line Road to the expressway, and then the west segment from the expressway to Alton Glore. Cost estimate, or preliminary cost estimates, is about $12 million. I'm told by the city that, in the next 6-9 months, they expect to get the project environmentally cleared. The city had, I believe in '05, received an earmark from Congress for $1.6 million. So that funding, obviously, the city will not lose. That will remain there. The city had submitted back in March, I believe, their request to Congress, and their priority had been the East Loop, only because, up until, I guess, yesterday, the funding for Morrison Road was there. I did speak to TxDOT this morning, and they confirmed, what the city had told me. They're not necessarily going to lose their funding, but it might get reduced. And so TxDOT asked that we go back, look at the cost estimates, and see, if any items can be eliminated in an effort to reduce the cost. I looked at the cost estimate. There are some line items that we might be able to work with and reduce the cost somewhat. And I think what the city needs to do, and I called the city manager back this afternoon to report, they need to, and it's according to David, he didn't think it was too late for the city to shift their priority at the federal level and substitute the Morrison Road project with the East Loop. As I mentioned earlier, Morrison Road had, in '05, received an earmark from Congress for $1.6 million, so we think there's an opportunity to substitute that project for the East Loop project. If they do that, they'll probably need a letter of support from the county. It's an arterial street, collector street within the city, and so it's not necessarily the county's top priority because it's more of a local issue. But nonetheless, what we've done in the past is submit letters of support for this effort. If that is what the city will request, it will require a formal letter from the mayor asking Congressman Ortiz, Senator Hutchison, Cornyn, that because of the events or because of what's transpired in the last couple of days with TxDOT, they have to shift their priorities. And so we'll be assisting the city, in that effort. If you all recall, a couple of, I guess a month and a half ago, we set our priorities at the federal level with, I believe it was the South Parallel Corridor, FM 509, and then East Loop. Talking to David, I think our priority needs to remain at the East Loop level because that's more of a major arterial that has international significance, since it would link the Veterans Bridge with the Port of Brownsville. But we've requested a conference call both with the staffers from Congressman Ortiz and Senator Hutchinson tomorrow. And so we'll be trying to do that and see what it is the city needs to do and how much time they have to do that. But, that budget is coming down quick, so we might not have a lot of time. But I think there's enough time to be able to make that switch. And so we just want to brief the court, let y'all know we're working on that with the city.
We're going to be covering this tomorrow at the MPO.
Yes.
All right, is that all you have?
Yeah, if we could go back to item number 17, I believe Javier and Lee needed some clarification.
Apparently Mr. Lozano has left. I guess there was, and I don't think y'all have a copy of the drawing that was submitted as far as to how this vehicle is supposed to be marked. And just for clarification to the court, that this is going to be an additional vehicle to the county fleet and an additional to the budget for the district courts for next fiscal year.
How much are we talking about per court?
Excuse me?
For the court? I mean, I imagine all the district courts are going to share this vehicle?
Well, it's my understanding that, the bailiffs are going to be using this in order to transport prisoners when necessary from the jail facility on Mito back to the courthouse.
Javier, you're saying this is an additional vehicle. The item says a surplus vehicle.
It's a surplus vehicle scheduled to be sold at auction next month.
So it's one that we have already.
We have it right now.
We're not acquiring a new vehicle for it.
We're not acquiring, we're just adding, we're keeping an extra vehicle that otherwise would have been sold. Yes. I wish Mr. Lozano was here, but on the vehicle, there was a drawing as far as the markings that it's supposed to have. The request is to have tinted windows all the way around. It's supposed to say Deputy State District Court on the side.
It's supposed to say what now?
Deputy State District Court. That's what I guess is being requested, and he wasn't sure if the court was approving that also.
Well, we hadn't seen the drawing.
Okay. I don't know if it was included in the backup.
There's no backup.
The information in the backup indicated that
and if the vehicle was
going to
be, I guess determined whether it's a take-home vehicle or it was going to remain at the courthouse.
Take-home vehicle.
No, that was just for clarification purposes.
Well, first of all, I don't think it ought to be a take-home vehicle because you've got numerous bailiffs that are going to be using it. So they're going to take turns taking it home? Secondly, I'm not sure about the markings. I don't have a problem saying bailiff district court, but are they deputies?
Well, they're either deputy sheriff or deputy constables. It depends who they're commissioned under. Some of them are.
Okay. Do we have to mark it like that, or?
It depends which vehicle. If it's a white vehicle, it's marked as a deputy constable or a constable vehicle, or if it's a gold, it's marked as a sheriff's vehicle. It depends which surplus vehicle.
Now, let me ask one question. This is when an inmate is taken from the sheriff's department or from the jail facility, have we discussed whether or not the sheriff will release that individual to someone that might not even be deputized under him to be transported into jail?
I don't know.
It's just kind of like, what if the sheriff says, we're responsible for those inmates, right?
Correct, until they turn them over to the court.
Is he gonna allow them to be released to a deputy that he doesn't deputize? I mean, has that been discussed?
I don't know.
Mr. Yates?
The other issue that I have also along those lines is, how often does this occur to where the inmate doesn't get brought in by the sheriff's department? Is this something that's going to be used daily, or once a month, or once a week, or do we have any history on that, Mr.
My understanding and discussion with the bailiffs that it is it's not more than daily, but it's not once a month either. A number of times the bus full of inmates comes and the court has requested the presence of an inmate and it's not in that roll call. And so rather than waiting for the bus to come back, they've requested to be able to go get the inmate. And with regards to discussing of how the inmate is released, the sheriff, either at the bus, when it's delivered here, releases the inmate to the bailiff in the custody of the court in the holding cell, or they release him at the jail. I mean, they do release
Yeah,
them
but
in
they
the
release
custody.
them in a controlled area.
Right. And that's why we're going to have a cage and everything that's necessary to protect the, and these cages are with the cars at this stage. But the courts don't meet all the time. Month of July, month of December, the need for this car is very limited. However, there are a number of occasions, also in moving witnesses and things of that nature, it's important to be involved in.
The bailiffs move witnesses?
Well, on occasion, when a jury needs to go get something for the jury, then the bailiffs act in that capacity too. So there's a number of transportation issues. I'm just relaying what was told to me, but if there is an issue with regards to the bailiffs dealing with the juries, or needing to bring an inmate, or needing to immediately transport a judge, that's...
Have you determined how much it's going to cost?
Well, I know that
this to the budget?
The insurance alone is about $650, is that correct? That's for liability. We would not have any collision on this vehicle. And then gasoline, I imagine we're going to spend roughly about $2,500 on this whole operation, just basic use of it. I don't anticipate this thing going home every day. It does need to be in a secure area, but I wouldn't say that we're going to spend...
So you're going to take that $2,500 and divide it equally amongst the district courts?
Well, the district courts are budgeted all together, as opposed to the county courts at law have individual...
So you're going to put it under their general...
Yes.
All right.
Would this also be able to be used by county courts at law?
Yes, if the county courts of law need to have an inmate retrieved, the bailiffs work together on that issue.
I guess the biggest concern I have about it is it going to be used enough to keep it kept up?
Yeah,
And I guess what I'm saying is, if a car sits there long enough or doesn't get driven enough, next time you need to go jump in it and go somewhere, you don't have a battery.
Absolutely. If a car sits idle for a long time, the tires get flat on the bottom. The batteries go bad, air conditioning units go bad. You're right, they need to be regularly used, but...
Well, let's try this out and see how it works and see if it
doesn't work.
It may not function for them. On the tinted windows, as long as they're legal and they're not the black windows, they got to have that little
Why do they
sticker.
want tinted windows?
Yeah, I don't know that. That was a preference of the bailiff.
I know it's cooler in the car.
Cooler inside.
Yeah. And that's, I've got no problem with that. As long as they're legal tint, that's fine.
If they're moving a judge or a protected person, they want to make sure that, there's not as much visibility.
Does the bus have limo windows?
Well, with the markings that it's got, that's pretty darn visible.
But the
well,
bus
that's
doesn't have
true,
limo windows.
All right, is there any further discussion? We've already passed it, I guess. I'm unsure about the markings. If everyone's comfortable with the
I
markings,
think you should bring it back.
Bring back the markings of the vehicle with something. Who drew that up, Javier? Was that you during break time or what?
No. I believe the bailiff kind of forwarded it to Lee as to what their intention was, how they wanted it marked, and so he had a question if this is all right or not. They're going to give it.
Well, it looks fine. I got no problem with it. All right. Pete, did you get through with your federal? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Moved by Commissioner somebody.
So moved.
Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. God save this honorable court.